My name's Niki Parekh. I am the CEO and founder of Provn. So we are a new way to, we are a new merit-based platform to help great candidates stand out in a really tough job market. So thank you all for joining us, and I will share my presentation here and tell you a little bit about proven how to use our platform and how to stand out in a really tough job market. I'm Niki Parekh. We are proven on the line today. I also have my colleagues Shailja and Kate. Shailja works in product. Kate leads our customer success org. We are here to help you as candidates in a really tough job market be successful. So what Proven is all about is helping candidates stand out for what their capabilities are and not based on where they went to school, the last job. And our thesis is really that the labor market and the job market is changing so dramatically that even what you learned yesterday, and it could be coding, it could be marketing, it could be sales, is going to be less relevant as we move into this AI world. So for us, it's all about merit and capability, and then how do you stand out in a really difficult job market? So the reason you're probably here is that you probably sent out tens of resumes, maybe hundreds of resumes and hundreds of applications. You've optimized your resume using ChatGPT or Claude. You've maybe signed up for services that are automatically applying for jobs for you. You've written cover letters, but chances are, I'm guessing you have not heard anything back from anybody. So that's not your fault. The system is fundamentally broken. We're entering into a world where there is just AI slop all over, and we at Proven are here for you, and we want to show you a different way. So what you're not seeing is that on the other side, when you apply to 100 jobs or 200 jobs, basically there's a system called the ATS, which is the applicant tracking system. I'm sure you filled out hundreds of applications or sent hundreds of resumes. And these systems basically collect applications and they collect resumes. And if you are lucky, a human might see your resume. If you're even luckier, you might get a phone screen. And then you're asked the same set of interview questions by a junior recruiter. And then the problem is that everybody is doing the exact same thing. So everyone is basically using ChatGPT to generate the perfect resume that's tailored to the job. So every resume looks perfect. They're stuffing their resumes with tons of keywords so that they try to get to the top. And what's happening is recruiters are ignoring the resume. And then even if you get to the resume, get beyond the resume and get to the recruiter screen, what we're seeing is that every interview is AI influence. So ChatGPT is whispering in the applicant's ear. So every applicant is starting to seem perfect. So what's happening to recruiters are getting inundated. Every job opening has like 500 applicants or even 1,000. And then you have AI agents that are basically inundating every job posting with emails and even more applications. So what recruiters are doing is recruiters are falling back on their typical historical ways to find candidates. So basically, did you go to the right school? Did you work at the right company? Did you do perhaps exactly what I want you to do? Or do you know the CEO or some senior executive who can refer you into either the hiring manager, the recruiter, and then maybe you might get a phone call back or a email from the recruiter. But what's happening is that great candidates like you are actually disappearing. So you can't break through the noise of basically this war between AI slop on the candidate side and the ATS on the recruiter side. And so nobody is getting through unless you basically have a referral into the CEO. And so what Proven's trying to do is we're trying to do something fundamentally different. So we want to basically find a way to help you stand out and help your candidates, help your capabilities actually shine. So instead of just submitting resumes and instead of just submitting real challenges, instead of just submitting resumes and applications, what we want you to do is take a real world challenge that we develop in conjunction with the company that basically can show your capabilities. So you complete the challenge. So think of it as a case study plus plus. And then, but the key part of it is that you record a short video with walking through your thought process. So think of this almost like a way that a recruiter or that Proven can help assess what your critical thinking is, what your creativity is, how you would be like to work at the job with the hiring manager. And so what we believe is that by actually having you do work, show your capabilities, you can actually stand out in a world where everybody's trying to game the resume and the application. And instead, through Proven, where we give you a real world challenge, we basically give you you do a video walkthrough, then we can guarantee that your application and your challenge will be seen by the hiring manager, and then we can give you actually structured feedback based on kind of open challenges so that you can get better. And our bet is that by doing this, the top candidates are going to rise to the top, and you're going to be able to get hired faster for what you're capable of, not just where you went to school or who you know. So how does it work? So we have a thing called the AI Talent Draft. So hopefully everybody here on the call knows about the NFL. So the National Football League doesn't just hire people based on their resume and how well they scored in high school or maybe even college. What they do is they basically scout the best people. They bring them to what's called the combine. The combine is a detailed series of challenges and tests where athletes, the best athletes, go through a series of both medical tests, psychological tests, and then physical evaluation. They run the 40-yard dash. They have to catch, they have to block and tackle, and they have to catch hard passes. That's really validating what their capabilities are. And then based on this portfolio of information, both about their physical ability, their mental ability, and what they're actually capable of on the field, the top teams basically draft the top athletes. We're trying to do something similar where we're trying to basically show that your performance is more important than your pedigree. So here on Proven, you can scout and look for great jobs, and we want to attract the best candidates to Proven so that we can attract the best employers. And then we ask you to take real world challenges and record videos with your thought process. So by taking the challenge and recording the video, that is the core of the application. And then based on an analysis of how you did, we can basically then draft the top performers and put them in front of not just recruiters, the actual hiring managers at the company looking for great talent. And the other thing that's important is that we're at a really unique time in history where a lot of CEOs and hiring managers are looking for really AI first candidates who are AI native and thinking differently of how to build. It's not just, okay, here's a problem, let me go research it on the web and use pen and paper and Microsoft Office. It's all about how well are you using ChatGPT? How well are you using Claude to be magical? So a lot of the challenges, they are time constrained, and it is a lot of work to do. But like the key is we want you to use AI, we want you to lean into it, and we want you to basically shine in terms of how you stand out from traditional candidates and other candidates applying for a job based on what you're capable of doing. So, just for context, you can basically go you go to Proven. We have two sets of ways to engage. You can apply for jobs. So here you click on the view open jobs link, and each job will have a challenge. So we ask you to register. With Provn. By registering, you submit a resume, you fill out some information, you give us links to your social profiles, and then you can basically take the challenge. The other thing we just recently launched is the AI Talent Draft. So think of the Talent Draft as you're able to take a challenge and then be seen by many employers. So similar to either the Common App or other ways to apply, you basically apply once, take the challenge, and then you get seen by those hiring managers for what you're capable of. So that one, so you have two ways to apply. Either you can apply directly to a job, though each one of those jobs has a very specific challenge for the job, or you can take a general challenge by role, and then by taking that challenge, you're going to be seen by the Provn staff as well as the hiring managers that are recruiting on Provn. So let me just walk you through a case study from one of our partners in terms of how it worked. So I want to tell you about Alex and Brilliant Earth. So Brilliant Earth is one of the largest online jewelers in the country. So they're a publicly traded jewelry company. They have about $500 million in revenue. They have 800 employees. And what they're really struggling with is they believe there's a significant opportunity to reinvent the company using AI, but they have to be thoughtful about what are the workflows where AI can be most useful. So they wanted to hire an AI product manager who could basically has a data science background, has AI background, but they're pretty open to, be it a product manager from Oracle or Microsoft, or somebody who is fresh out of business school or college. So they ran a challenge on Provn to basically to see if they could find unique candidates. So they had 234 applicants apply. About 20% or 24% of the applicants actually completed the challenges. So and then of those 47, 10 candidates were put in front of the hiring manager. Based on going through the challenges and the videos, the SVP of technology shortlisted 2 to bring to final round interviews, and Alex was hired as the AI initiatives product manager at Brilliant Earth through the process. So not only did it take, we were able to get Brilliant Earth to identify 10 great candidates in roughly 12 days, in roughly 2 weeks, and they were able to basically make a decision on her much faster because of all the information that was available on Alex based on taking the challenge. So the thing that really stood out was there were 2 things. One is the SVP who interviewed her said that basically he knew her already stepping into the interview. So the key here is like you're doing the challenge, you're showing what you're capable of and what you can actually do with AI. And then the second piece is like, because of the video, the hiring manager feels like they already know you and know like how you work, what your strengths are, what your opportunities for growth are. And so because of that, you're able to actually get started and onboarded a lot faster than a typical set of resumes, recruiter screens, hiring manager screens, and then panel interview before you finally get to a decision. And the other thing which is great about this story is that Alex has a bit of a non-traditional startup background. She went to some good colleges. She was a biochemistry major, then she went to get a master's degree in data science, and then she was getting her part-time MBA and working in working for startups, and she was able to outcompete product managers from Meta and Microsoft and Oracle based on the quality of the work and what she was able to achieve. So we're super excited about that. And so with that, I'm going to just play a short video so that you can basically hear from Alex herself about the Provn process.
Today was my third day at Brilliant Earth. The first thing that the SVP said to me was, "I feel like I know you already." I kind of was like, okay, here's like another AI assessment, because I had done, I think, like 2 previously. Hey, we're going to give you this like chatbot, right? Like classic AI interface, and you're just going to answer a ton of questions. You know, I never even heard back. And I was like, oh my God, I wrote so much in that. Like, did I just do free consulting basically? I was like shocked when I saw that this was like not only challenge based and not just like, you know, answering questions with an AI. It was like, you actually have to do something, you have to upload a video. So I was like, okay, that feels like really real, that they're asking to like, you know, have you speak and upload something. And I like that it was so tailored to Brilliant Earth that I was like, even if like what I'm reading is AI generated or like generated then edited, I knew that came from like a human, because it's so specific to the company that I'm applying for, right? Like it was just like spot on, like, you know, this is the role, here's the company. Like the challenge itself was something that like, I was like, wow, whether it's an AI challenge or like a normal tech coding challenge or anything that I've had before, they've always been so like generic, like leet codey. So that's made me feel like really, you know, good about actually spending time to like take the challenge on Provn, that it's like, this is actually like someone's gonna like review this, you know. It gave me that confidence. What I think like my abilities are just to like execute on like projects and show that I can like think about how like things strategically like fit into like a larger like vision. So I really liked that this project, one, had the video component, but also like the white papers where I got to show more of that, like here's like 1 page detailing how I would like outline this entire project basically and like execute it in like this amount of time or something. And it like allowed me to like think about like risks and pitfalls and like successes and how to measure these things as well, which I don't know, you can't show that on a resume. 100%. Candidates and honestly like hiring managers, something that I just think is so crazy right now, especially with like AI role hiring, is that anyone can put AI on their resume right now. How do you filter through noise of like what people are actually capable of? For me, it was really important to like have a platform that can showcase like my skills in that, but it's like really specific for AI hiring. And that made me feel good as a candidate. Also, I would definitely recommend this to candidates, like just because again, if I was like a hiring manager, this is like exactly how I would want to like roll out my process to find like that good candidate that hits what I actually need.
All right. So how does Provn work? So basically what we do is we work with employers and we co-develop role-specific challenges that are actually tied to the work. So we're trying not to just create, like if you go to LeetCode or HackerRank for engineering jobs, you know, you'll get a bunch of kind of generic challenges or generic tests in terms of just trying to understand, do you know how to write code? What we really are trying to do is give you a true example of work that's specific to either the role or to the company. And then what you do, you as the candidate, you take 40 minutes to an hour, you complete the work, complete the challenge, try stay within the time constraint, and then record like a 8 to 10 minute video. So the key to the video is really all about helping a hiring manager understand how you think and how you react to the challenge. So just like a case study, it's not all about just did you get the right answer. It's a lot of it is just about How did you think? What went well? What didn't go well? How did you use AI? What didn't you do when you used AI? Anybody can just copy and paste straight into ChatGPT and say, look at the awesome work I'm doing. But once you start digging into the process and once they get on the job, employers are realizing that a lot of candidates are faking their way through the application process. And our goal is to actually have you lean into AI, but be really thoughtful about like how you actually are using it. And then what we do at Provn is we take tens of people, if not hundreds of people doing the same challenge. We have a rubric of what success looks like for that job. And then we, both Provn and the hiring manager, validate the top candidates through an evaluation process of the challenge and their fit for the role. And then we basically both highlight interview ready talent for the hiring manager and also help our candidates get better and improve in terms of how they should be positioning themselves in this really tough job market. So, what does a typical challenge look like? So what we try to do is basically really focus on real work experience for the role at the company. And so here on the left is kind of is really the challenge for Brilliant Earth, right? It was the AI initiatives product manager. It was all about helping a company identify, and here in this case, it was Brilliant Earth, identify a workflow at Brilliant Earth that can basically have high ROI, that they can basically roll out and basically see real ROI relatively quickly. So they asked the candidate to basically identify the workflow, propose it, design it, but the key was really how would you drive adoption through the stakeholders at a relatively complex large company. So there was a 2-page solution on what is the AI solution you're proposing. The second piece was walk me through what your stakeholder buy-in plan would be. And then the third was record the video. So generally took about an hour of time. And then we basically have a detailed rubric which analyzed, based on the challenge response, the video walkthrough, the resume, a person's critical thinking, their creativity, their AI fluency, and more AI fluency and use of AI is becoming a bigger and bigger determinant of success at companies. So we're seeing more and more employers wanting to hire people that are really smart and smarter than their current employees in terms of using AI on the job. And the key of what makes Provn different is really this challenge plus the video walkthrough. Like I said, anybody can cut and paste into ChatGPT and say, look at how awesome I am and look at the work that I did. But what's really been differentiated has been this video walkthrough. So basically, just like if you were doing a presentation in college or you were doing a demo at work, the key is build a product with AI or build a plan, build a forecast and use AI. Talk through what you did, how you did it, why you chose this, ChatGPT versus Claude versus a very specific thing that you found on the internet that actually does forecasting, or Vercel versus Codex versus Claude Code, right? And then talk through your thinking. And then, what I think everybody is learning is that AI isn't perfect, but what really is important is people that are able to understand what AI does well, what it doesn't do well, and be critical about like working with it, iterating, and then kind of building the final product. So the key is talking through the thought process of like in a coherent way of what was the problem, what were the choices, what were the trade-offs. And then based on that, the hiring manager, we basically do an analysis against what the company is looking for based on the rubric. And then the hiring manager can basically get a higher degree of trust than just having a recruiter screen saying, this is a person that I believe will be successful at our company. And then what we've seen is like, it's very hard to fake the video walkthrough. Yes, you could basically have AI create the transcript for it and then just read it. But like that, just the sort of copy and paste of like just straight from AI is actually pretty obvious when you see hundreds of people doing the same thing over and over again. So it's really about like, you know, having you come through as a human being using AI and understanding your creativity, your thought process. What would it be like to work with this person? And that's really what is differentiating about the Proven and the video walkthrough. So, and in general, so like the key is, you know, take a challenge. Like Proven is different because we want to help you be seen. So by taking the challenges, we help you basically rise to the top and be seen both by Proven in terms of looking at candidates as well as the hiring managers. Then you know now you're actually building a portfolio. So by taking more and more challenges that are Proven verified, you're building an asset that can be used in your job search, and you're actually getting able to practice. So you're basically able to take real life scenarios, you understand what the job is, you understand what success looks like at that specific company. And then by taking the open challenges, which are in the AI talent draft area, you're able to get immediate feedback in terms of how you did against what employers are looking for. And all of this is all about kind of separating yourself. So every job has 500 to 1,000 applicants these days for it because of it's getting so easy to apply for jobs on LinkedIn and Indeed with AI agents. Everybody looks the same. So thinking very strategically of how do you separate yourself and what are the best jobs for you to be applying for so that you can stand out. And like Proven is really built to help candidates stand out. So it's not for everybody. And there are a lot of people who are like, I'm just not going to do free work and I'm not going to build a portfolio, and that's totally fine. But if you're somebody who probably is you're amazing and you're having a hard time standing out because of your resume, you might be early in career, you might be international, you might be studying in the United States on a master's degree, you might be a career changer, you might be later in your career and you're seeing kind of AI taking effect and you want to basically switch roles, or you come from a non-traditional background where you went to a boot camp, you're self-taught, you didn't go to college, but you are amazing with AI. Proven was really built for you as a candidate. So with that, I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop sharing and see if there are any questions from anybody, and then I'm going to just launch into a quick demo. Any questions? Just there's a Q&A conversation. Shelja added the first question. So either leave a comment or use the Q&A if you have any questions. And if not, let me jump into the demo. Going once, going twice. All right, let me give a quick demo of Proven here. All right, so here, let's see. You are seeing a different window. Let me see if I can share. All right, can you see that? All right, so this is Proven, and basically you could see that here, this is kind of our AI talent draft. I have already logged in, but you can basically click here to view open jobs or click here. And these are all kind of open challenges, meaning that you apply once and get seen by many hiring managers. So we have data and AI challenges, engineering challenges, marketing, product, sales, Generally, these challenges take about an hour, but you're also building a portfolio that getting immediate feedback in terms of how you've done against a hiring manager's rubric. And then the top candidates will basically be passed on to the companies that are looking at these challenges and looking for engineers and product managers and marketers and salespeople. So the other thing you could do is you can basically go through and apply for a job. So here we have we're working with a number of companies that are hiring across like mostly in tech, but hiring product managers, solutions architects, directors of operations, all on the platform. So I'm going to basically jump into the senior product designer role at Arrivia. So Arrivia is a B2B travel company. So we actually have another webinar with the Chief Product and Technology Officer, Ganesh Bhaskar, on tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Pacific time. And here you can see basically, just like a typical job board, you get a description of the job, you kind of get a description of the qualifications and the benefits of working with Arrivia. But I'd say where Provn is different is the challenge process. So the way that I would basically go through and deeply understand like what they're looking for. So what Arrivia has done is they hired Ganesh to basically redefine how they build products. So what they've done is they've taken and combined design, product management, and front-end engineering into one role they're calling a builder. And then they've taken the rest of their org, they've taken, say, 20% of their org and created them as builders. And then they've taken the other 80% and they're kind of the scaling organization that's kind of more traditional. Here they're looking to hire builders, and what they want the builder to do basically is, spend 30 minutes building a prototype about something that you're passionate about. It could be biking, it could be painting. Somebody submitted a Dungeons and Dragons app. So anything, and then basically design the mobile app and walk through how you built it, why you built it in a certain way, what are the core features. And the key question is like, it's all about the thought process in the video. So it's really about build a product and then demo the product online. And so what they're looking for is really like find a specific user problem and a target audience. Like, what did you pick? What were you passionate about? Prototype it. So use AI to build that prototype, and then talk through like, why did you build it this way? What are those design trade-offs? What are the scope decisions you made knowing you only had 30 to 60 minutes to build something, and demonstrate like how you're using AI to actually build this better and faster than kind of doing it by hand, and leveraging kind of your experience offline with your experience with AI, and then record the video. So again, so like you see here that what you want to do is upload an artifact of the prototype. So those could be wireframes or Figmas. Then you create a short document on the what you built in terms of why you built it. And the third and most important part is the video walkthrough. So just, record a 5 to 10 minute video talking about the problem, talking about the prototype, talking about what went well, what didn't go well, how you would measure success, and what you would do next. And then how did you use AI, if at all, in the building process? So you upload all of that and then you submit it. And then, basically based on how you do, you basically will hear back from the hiring manager. And then simultaneously, there, Provn will then identify other jobs which could be a great fit for you. So, if you're a product manager, you'll get prompted for other product management jobs. If you are interested in engineering and you have a deep background in Oracle, You could get more technology, take more technology challenges, or operations, or big data. And then you can also take more challenges to build out your profile and your portfolio. And then what you can see in your current profile is that you can basically see, all of the challenges that you've completed. You can basically build out a profile and a portfolio. And our goal really is that you can then use your proven portfolio and your profile to basically differentiate yourself in the job search as you do more and more challenges, get more and more badges, and you can upload your own profile links and your own portfolio links into this, and then get feedback on that portfolio. So that's the key to Provn, is basically take challenges, apply for jobs, record videos, video walkthroughs of how you thought about completing the challenges, and then get called by the hiring managers if you're one of the top candidates. All right, so with that, let me go back to the presentation. So the last part of Provn is that, like, for us, right, like the key is we want to have great people looking at your applications. So we have this concept of talent scouts. So we've invited industry experts to basically look at the top candidates who are using the Provn system and give them feedback and validation. And this isn't a hiring manager. These are CTOs, CPOs, managing directors, deans of business school. So the Talent Scout program is all about how do we help you stand out, right? Because like in a world where the traditional job application is just completely overwhelmed and swamped with AI slop, how do you basically get great people in front of decision makers who could say, like, I'm interested in this person and I'm willing to take a shot at hiring this kind of person if they're able to achieve these great things in a short amount of time. So we have gone out and handpicked great people who are actively hiring, who can actively give you feedback in terms of, the job market, how to position yourself, and your challenges. So what we have is we have a series of webinars coming out over the next 4 weeks. So tomorrow is Ganesh Bhaskaran, who is the Chief Product and Technology Officer at Arrivia. So that is 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We'll follow up after this webinar and share all the webinar links with everybody on here to make sure you're available. Next week, Neil Zuckerman, who is a senior partner at BCG, the consulting firm, he specializes in media and technology. He's going to be talking about what he's seeing in terms of the changes in the labor market and what employers are looking for. Jeff Koonins is the Chief Product Officer and CTO at Axon. Axon is the leading technology supplier to police and fire departments in the United States, focusing on tasers, webcams, and drones. He's going to be talking about sort of what he's looking for in engineers and how he builds great products that help public safety. So he's the following week at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And then we close out this series of the Talent Scouts with Dr. Sandeep Krishnamurthy, who's the Dean of Business at Cal Poly Pomona, really talking about how business students and business practitioners need to be thinking about AI fluency in the labor market based on what he's seeing, talking to CEOs around the country. So all of these Talent Scouts are here for you. So take the challenges. Over the next several weeks, we're going to put the top 5 candidates that we see that are good fits for these companies in front of these decision makers, and you can get feedback from these industry luminaries. And with that, the draft is open. Either take the open challenges on Proven to stand out, or apply for a job. So go to proven.co, register. It's free. Browse the jobs, browse the challenges, and start one today. And get seen by great people, get seen by the hiring managers and these talent scouts. So like our core is that we're all about performance over pedigree, and we're all about kind of proof and capabilities over polish. So Proven is here for you as the candidates, and we're excited to work with you.